The Molson World Hockey Championship on the Score is brought to you by Molson, what beer's all about. And by Rogers AT&T. Imagine a better wireless world.
You're looking at Hanover, Germany, one of the host cities for the World Hockey Championship 2001 edition. Games will also be played in Cologne and Nuremberg. Hello again, everybody. I'm Steve Coulias, as we will carry all of Canada's games live right here on The Score. Pleased to be joined by The Score's hockey analyst, Gord Stellick. We will talk about Canada versus Norway today and all the other teams in this tournament in just a bit. But first, when we talk about the host country, Gord, it's very important in a tournament like this, whether it's an Olympic Games or a World Cup format, to start against a team that you should beat and build from there.
Well, you should. That's the key for Team Canada. But I'll tell you, they had trouble last year against Norway. But I think the big thing for Team Canada this year, Steve, it's a buzz unlike any other year. That's because it's a pre-Olympic year. Also, it's probably the best young team we've ever sent over in the World Hockey Championship. So this may be the most excitement there's been, which means there's pretty high expectations, which means, as you said, you got to get off a good start, and you've got to get off to a good start against some of the perceived weaker opponents.
Canada has won the World Championship 21 times, Russia with 23. We'll talk about the Russians in just a second. Canada last won this event back in 1997. The head coach was Andy Murray, who's done a great job with the LA Kings. Anson Carter was a big part of that team, as was Keith Primo. Those two players are not here this time around. Now let's take a look at the pools A, B, C, and D. There are 16 teams at this event. That'll take place over 15 days to try to determine one champion in the gold medal game. We'll start off with Group A and the Czech Republic. And Gord, when you talk about the Czech Republic, they won the gold in Nagano, and they have won this event back-to-back times, trying to become the first country to win it 3 years in a row since the Russians did it in the late 70s.
Well, the good news for everybody else is there's no Dominik Hasek, though, because he's been the key for Czech Republic. So they'll be a team to contend with. They're going to peak for the Olympics.
Germany, the host country, also in this pool. It should be an easy 3-0 for Czech Republic in Group A. In Group B, Finland, Slovakia, Austria, and Japan, easily the weakest of all the groups here. Finland should have no problem moving on. Finland defeated Canada last year in the bronze medal game, winning by a score of 2-1. In Group C, Sweden, one of the three big favorites. You mentioned Canada, Gord, off the top. Sweden and the Czech Republic are the three top teams by all accounts going into this one. The United States doesn't seem to have the players showing up at the Worlds the way Canada does. They don't have the depth. Latvia and Ukraine round out Group C. In Group D, Canada, Russia, Norway, and Italy. Russia last year finishing a disappointing 11th, going with mostly NHL players. This year, Boris Mikhailov and company have decided really to go with more players from the Russian Super League to get more players from their own system there. So there's a lot of turmoil, whether it's the Olympics or the World Cup, as far as Russia is concerned.
Well, it always comes down to the team concept as well, about the fact, do you have a good individual players with a good team concept? That's something the Czech Republic did to win the Olympic gold medal last time, and that's something Russia's decided. All these NHL superstars are great, but if they're not motivated, they're not into it, they have to look at forming a team for next year's Olympics. That's what they're going to use this year's World Championships for.
All right, let's talk about Canada's team. 23 players in all. Let's talk about the three goalies here at this event. All eyes will be on these three gentlemen. Jean-Sébastien Giguère shouldn't see a lot of time, but really it should come down to Roberto Luongo and Freddie Brathwaite. Brathwaite will get the start here in game number one. How do you like the goaltending situation?
Well, I like it a lot. I think Roberto Luongo is probably the guy looking at maybe being on the Olympic team. I like the loyalty they're showing to Freddie Brathwaite. He's played a lot of international events, and they're saying you're the guy because you've been there as the 3 guy before. You've been there as one of the 1 or 2 guys. Generally, goaltending is something that's the strength of Canada. No different here.
As far as the defense are concerned, here's a look at the 7 right now, as we have 3 goalies, 7 defensemen, and 13 forwards for a group of 23. Believe it or not, you can add 5 more players for the quarterfinal round. I guess a way to get other NHLers to increase the draw overseas. As we look at this group, it's very strong, and it's a lot of players who are from Western Canada.
Well, it's not just that, Steve. You're talking about the young defensemen that could play on the Olympic team. Look at Wade Redden, Brad Stewart, Kyle McLaren, Derek Morris. All these guys are guys that Wayne Gretzky and company are saying, what are the guys we want to round out our defense corps?
And here's a look at the 13 forwards. All eyes will be on a guy like Ryan Smith, Vincent Lecavalier here for the first time, and what a year Joe Thornton had for the Bruins this year, scoring 37 goals.
Youth and speed, and that's what you need in this tournament.
Okay, let's go to Hanover, Germany right now and meet our broadcast crew. Jim Poplinski will do the color. He won the Stanley Cup with the Flames back in 1989. And Dennis Bayak will call the play-by-play. Guys, take it away.
Good afternoon from Germany and good morning in Canada, wherever you may be. And we are in Hanover.
At the Presec Arena.
To be exact, as Canada and Norway get set to meet. First game of the tournament for both these teams. The Canadians have played 2 exhibition games. Jim, is that enough for this team to gel and also to get used to the bigger ice surface?
To gel, absolutely not. Canada had 6 guys that played in the first game in Finland that will not play in the tournament, 3 that played in Sweden that will not play in the tournament. So to get together as a group, it's virtually a different group of players that will play against Norway today, but we'll play together for the entire tournament, and that's an important point. As far as getting used to a bigger ice surface, that could be the best you'd hope for, but really to get over here a couple of days early, deal with a 6 or 8 hour time change, get your legs underneath you, that's all you want to do, and now you use the next 2 weeks to get used to the guys you're playing with.
Now we know what Canada has to do to win. That's simply play their game. What does Norway have to do to pull the upset they pulled last year?
Well, Norway is a real long shot. If they allow Canada to get ahead in the early stages of the game, this is going to be a 6 or an 8-0, 8-1 game, something like that. The only hope they have is if they can play very, very strong defensively. They've got a lot of small, quick, real fast guys, but if they don't play good defense and keep Canada away from their goaltenders, they're in trouble. Their goalies are average at best, and as I say, if Canada gets a lead, it's lights out for Norway.
And 2 new goalies from the team that beat Canada last year. Guys?
Thank you very much, and we'll get back to Hanover, Germany in about 9 minutes from now as the puck will drop for game number 1 for Team Canada. There's a shot at Hanover, and you can see the people are very excited on the street to watch Canada take on Norway. We'll continue with the pre-game show in just a bit. Hanover, Germany, that is where Canada is based for the 2001 World Hockey Championship. The puck will drop in Hanover in about 6 minutes from now. Some news out of Germany today as Michael Pekka has been named the captain of Team Canada. The restricted free agent has not played a game at all in the NHL this season. He is 27 and plays a lot bigger than his 5'11", 190-pound frame. Pekka has had a great career in the NHL, but right now he is fighting authority. He is from the Toronto area and this year has not played and will not play, and he wants to get traded from Buffalo. In his career, he has played 400 games in the NHL, but is more noted as a checking center who can chip in offensively. And Gord, although he is kind of fighting the establishment, fighting authority, really he is a great leader, and the players know he can lead them on this team.
Well, both the establishment and the players know that. I'll tell you, the Buffalo Sabres, as they fight the Pittsburgh Penguins, they wish Michael Pekka was in their lineup for the playoffs, but that's the bonus for Team Canada. Pekka got hurt after Game 1 of the Spangler Cup, so it's important he gets some play in here, some time, and you see what Michael Pekka can do. I mean, here's a guy that not only plays strong defensively, but can contribute offensively. I think Dmitry Yushkevich likes the fact that he's not in the NHL this year. This guy finishes every hit. You got to watch out. There's Yushkevich again, the victim. But Mike Pekka, and here it is too. He can put the puck in. The guy's not afraid to be creative offensively as well. But that's his forte. Again, Yushkevich, who he finishes every check, but also he can contribute with that offense, that killer goal at the most important time. This is a real pivotal series for Mike Pekka in trying to get dealt somewhere and also get some solid action because he's rusty.
All right, we're about 4 minutes away from the drop of the puck in Germany. Canada opening up against Norway. Last year, they lost to Norway in the first game by a score of 4-3. Freddie Brathwaite struggled and never did get his #1 job back. We're almost set to go. You're watching live World Championship Hockey on The Score. Back to the Molson World Hockey Championship live here on The Score as Team Canada taking to the ice for their first game against Norway, and last year Canada played Norway in the round-robin format and lost by a score of 4-3. They'll try to turn things around this time around. Freddie Brathwaite played in game #1. He didn't play in '99, but he did play last year. Lost his starting job after he lost that game. He'll try for a much better effort this time around. Let's go to Hanover now and join Jim Poplinski and Dennis Bayak.
Thanks, Steve. Canada and Norway as the 2001 World Championship about to get underway. Taking a look at the Canadian lineup, and a lineup built on speed, Jim.
It sure is, Dennis. There's been lots of thought going to this team over the last 4 or 5 months. One thing that you will see is speed. I believe the other thing you'll see is youthful exuberance. There's hardly anybody under 30 years old on this Canadian squad.
Norway's a very small team. There's their goaltenders. It will be Josefsson who will be starting in goal for Norway. And Josefsson took one square off the mask in the warm-up, but apparently has shaken that off and is ready to get at it here today. There's the defensive core for the Norwegian squad. Canada was 5-4 overall last year at these World Championships, finishing 4th. Norway was 10th, which may not sound all that impressive, but it was one better than what the Russians were. As the host team last year, they finished 11th, so I'm sure they're looking forward to getting back at this as well. There's the forwards for Team Norway. You will notice a trig on defense and a trig on the forward line. They are twins. And we've talked before about this Norwegian team upsetting Canada last year by a score of 4-3. They tied it up late in the second period and then won it in the third. And this one is underway, and the 2001 World Championship is underway for Canada. Into the Canadian zone. Brathwaite will kick that one outside. In the corner in the Canadian end. Centering pass back to the line. Knoll couldn't get a stick on it around the boards in the Canadian zone and cleared out to center ice. And Mike Pekka, the captain of this Canadian team, will send it in. Wes Walls hustles after it. Walls around, gets it into the slot area. McLaren sends it back into the corner for Isbister out front, looking in front of the goal for Walls, and that failed to materialize. Off the backboards, missing it was McLaren as Brathwaite let it go. Hustling in is Trigg. He'll send it behind the net, unable to get a stick on it was Pal Jonsson. Back to the left point, is kept in briefly by Selgren, and then dumped back into the Norway zone. Fjeld leads the rush. Fjeld to the line, tries to barge his way through, dishes it off, shot doesn't get to the net, and another shot goes over top the left shoulder of Fred Brathwaite. Behind the net, Brathwaite will smother it and hang on. And Brathwaite getting the start today for Team Canada.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this 10-second rule works as we look at this replay. Just missed the top right-hand corner. The teams have 10 seconds, and then the officials drop the puck. You just heard the whistle. It's 5 for the visiting team, then 5 for the home team. And they drop it. If you're not ready, you could be playing substantially short-handed.
Hansen and LeCavalier face off. Hansen wins it. Shot from the left point. Brathwaite got a toe on that. Far side into the center ice area. Back into his own end. Jason Smith sends it out to center ice. And into the Norway zone it goes. In the corner, it is Board Sorley sending it up the left wing boards. Richards couldn't keep it in. Jason Smith at center throws it cross ice for Eric Brewer. The Edmonton Oilers combination on defense. Nielsen to center ice for Hansen. Fakes the dump in on the backhand. Passes grabbed off and right back up the ice for Rem Murray. On the right side looking for LeCavalier. That failed to materialize as Vesterheim dumps it, and the Norwegians change. Break on the left side for Wade Redden to the front of the net for Ryan Smith, and Smith couldn't get a stick on it. Thornton rims around the boards looking for Smith and finds him. Pile up on the far side. Sullivan is there as well for Canada, but it's grabbed off by Norway. On the left side, Borden's cleared into the center ice area by Dahl, or to the line anyway. Stewart keeps it in front for Ryan Smith, and Ryan Smith was tied up on a good defensive play by Nortembo. Sullivan is after the loose puck, and Sullivan has it. Up the ice, Steve Sullivan in on the right side against Trigg. Mats Trigg tries to keep an eye on Sullivan, and Smith took a whack at it, couldn't knock it down in front. Thornton tried to find Ryan Smith at the line, kept in by Brewer. Shot was wide off the backboards on the mesh, and the Norwegians looking for a whistle, and they finally get it. Now some pushing and shoving as Sullivan took a shot to the back of the head, and now Sullivan and Mats Trigg continue the pushing and shoving. Shelgren, the biggest of the Norwegian defense corps, gets in the middle of it as well.
Wait, the replay here. Put it in.
Well, we get a quick look at that last replay. Canada's defense unbelievably young. Their whole team is young. In fact, the oldest defenseman is Jason Smith. This guy's 28. Imagine being 28 years old and called grandpa. This whole Canadian team is built on youth and speed, and I think most importantly exuberance. And you get a look at that as Jason Smith roughs up Snellgren after that last flurry around the net. This game started a little bit with Norway, the aggressor, and all of a sudden in the last minute or so, Canada has started to take over, and I would expect that will happen, and Wayne Fleming will be happy to see that.
A young defense scorer, and yet Wade Redden, 393 games in the NHL. He leads the young guys in that category. In front of the net, it is Josefsson. Penalty coming up on the play as referee Daniel Koedeman makes his first call. And you are watching World Championship Hockey from Hanover, Germany. Canadian power play. Smith lets it go for Sullivan. Back to the line. It is kept in by Derek Morris. Into the slot. It comes to Stewart. Gets it on net. And the save made. Josefsson will hang on. Face-off will be in the Norway zone.
Norway with 2 for interference. Canada's first power play of this World Championship. As we get a look at Thornton feathering the puck across. Stewart snuck in, didn't get much wood on it. Ryan Smith is in front of the net, ready for any rebound. Wayne Fleming saying that he's not sure what his power play is going to be. He's trying a bunch of different guys. They're really using the early games in this preliminary round as an opportunity to get a feel for each other, get a feel for power plays, penalty killing, and the like. Morris and Stewart teaming up on defense on this first Canadian power play.
Brathwaite leaves it for his Calgary teammate Morris. Morris gets to center ice. Cross ice for Stewart. Stewart has trouble getting it into the Norway zone. And it is cleared down the ice by Marius Trigg.
Now, it's easy to think about a team like Norway and underestimate them. At the same time, you don't want to give them too much respect and get fancy. A couple of simple plays at the blue line can cause a problem, as you saw Morris doing a couple of seconds ago.
Canada's power play last year, 21.4% in these championships. Brad Stewart will have to give chase. Complete changes now for the Canadian team, and Wade Redden will take it behind his own goal and start the power play. 34 seconds in the man advantage. Eric Brewer picks his way to the line and in. Brewer cross ice. LeCavalier was alone in front, couldn't handle the pass. It was in his feet. Pile up in the corner, Jeff Friesen kicks it back to the line to Brewer. Cross ice to Redden, couldn't get the one-timer. Back for Brewer with some room. Cross ice, LeCavalier had the open side, couldn't get it into the goal though. Power play continues. Marleau for Friesen. Jeff Friesen for LeCavalier. To the line it comes to Redden, back to LeCavalier, the shot, and that is blocked as Johnny Nielsen went to one knee. LeCavalier, another shot, and Josefsson got his right leg on that.
Now, a guy's got to get used to new arenas as well. Prysac Arena has got a substantial dasher right around the board, so that if that puck gets up high, it's very, very easy to fire it around and not be able to pull it off.
Lorstebo sends it to the line, no further. Brewer breaks it up. Brewer tries to get it into the Norway end and was unable to, and it's Ask unable to get anywhere. He'll try it one more time. Martinson on the left side. That failed to materialize as Nygaard couldn't pick it up cleanly. Nygaard after it at center, and as it's grabbed off, and Walker to the line. Now he gets pushing and shoving on the play along with Morton Ask. And I think we are going to have a penalty. It's going to be a hooking penalty, and it'll be Rem Murray heading to the penalty box. So Norway gets its first opportunity with the man advantage.
And Canada gets their first chance to kill a penalty. Norway is not going to be a terribly aggressive team. They're going to sit back and really look for an opportunity to get an early lead. And a power play at this stage of the game is exactly what they'd like to see. Whether they can execute on that is another question.
Starting the power play is Tor Vikingstad. He had the winning goal in the 4-3 win last year, a draft pick of the St. Louis Blues. Couldn't get anywhere. And Team Norway is going to have to go back and start all over again.
Well, the bulk of these Norwegians play in the Swedish Elite League, playing with Leksand and Färjestad. There's a 10-team league in Norway, of which 3 really dominate, and 95% of this Norwegian squad is made up in those 2 categories.
Interesting to see how the Canadian penalty killing does. We should see some shorthanded goals. Brad Isbister has a shorthanded goal this season in the NHL with the Islanders. Rem Murray is in the penalty box right now. He scored 3. To the line, but no further, and another penalty coming up. It is going to be a holding call. Eric Brewer.
I'll tell you who's done a heck of a job killing penalties in the National Hockey League this year is Wes Waltz. Lots of speed, quickness, a great ability to anticipate, and that's allowed him to score a number of shorthanded goals with the Minnesota Wild.
7 this year for Wes Walz, and let's not forget Steve Sullivan, who led the National Hockey League in shorthanded goals this year with 8.
Well, 15 feet around their rink really makes you take an extra stride. Don't know whether that's been the reason for a couple of chintzy penalties here on Canada's behalf or not, but an absolutely perfect opportunity for Norway with a 5-on-3 to get an early lead. This is the only hope a team like this has. Let's see what they do.
45 seconds in the 2-man disadvantage. To the line it comes. It is Trigg looking for some room, sends it into the corner. It comes back to Trigg. Back down low for Janssen in front of the net. And a backhanded attempt does get into the center ice area by Draper. Offside called against Norway. Face-off will be at the Canadian line.
You start to play at this level and the little things are not terribly noticeable, but they make a big, big difference. Norway going offside on a 5-on-3 would be just an unconscionable error for Fred Brathwaite and the Canadians to make, particularly at a crucial stage for Norway. Despite being early in the game, they need shots and scoring opportunities when they got a 5-on-3 advantage, and an offside just don't help.
At center ice for Janssen, he'll clear it in. Now Janssen on the left side drops it back, looking for Trigg. It will go cross ice for Norstebel. Down low for Vikingstad. Vikingstad at the top of the circle, back to the line. Norstebel out of the penalty box is Murray. Norstebel the shot, and Brathwaite makes the save, and Brathwaite will hang on. Face-off will be in the Canadian zone.
Well, Freddie Brathwaite with a couple of early shots. He'd prefer not to get them 5-on-3, but he's doing it. Mike Pekka, the captain of this Canadian squad, has got to be tickled pink that he's got an opportunity to play. Out all year, a contract squabble with the Buffalo Sabres, played in the Spengler Cup and injured his groin in the first game. One of the things that they tried to do was tell Pekka not to go too hard in these early tournament games so as not to injure himself.
At the left point for Knold. He'll dump it deep. Shot by Nielsen. That is off the stick of Wade Redden. Redden tries to clear. Stopped there by Morten Fjeld. Fjeld is taken to the corner. Steve Sullivan. Battle for the loose puck continues. No score. Canada and Norway. Power play for Norway. They had a 2-man advantage, but were unable to capitalize. It is Fjeld trying to get it back to the line. Picked off by Walker. Now with Pekka across the line. And Pekka made one move at the line, and that put Walker offside. And now Walker on the far side having a little long-range discussion with Martin Knold.
I'm not sure whether you'll see it on this replay or not. Walker a little bit offside. There's a slash right after the whistle that Walker takes exception to. This guy bought himself a lot of room when he started with the Vancouver Canucks, and as a result, got a little bit more time to make a play. And with that time, he's turned that into a heck of a career so far in the National Hockey League. Reminds me of a skilled George McPhee. All due respect to George, Walker has really made an impact. The one thing he's got to watch in a tournament like this is he doesn't worry about getting a crack after the whistle or finding a way to make his mark physically. It really doesn't pay many dividends in the international game.
Daniel Corman has been calling this game very, very closely. One power play opportunity for Canada, 2 for Norway. They are in their second one as Eric Brewer sits out the remaining seconds of his holding penalty. Derek Morris. All the way down the ice it goes. Josefsson watches come off the backboards. Teams are back at full strength. Sorley dumps it on the left side into the Canadian zone. Kyle McLaren. Back pass for Derek Morris, and Morris will send it up for Sullivan through the neutral zone with some speed. Sullivan to the Norway line. A cross-ice pass failed to materialize, and Martin Ask will get it back to the Canadian line. Morris will try it one more time. Looking for Ryan Smith. That failed to click. Smith had it briefly, lost it, gets it back again. Kyle McLaren settles it down for Sullivan. Deflects it to the line no further. Quickly up the ice. Back in for Trigg on the left side. Elects to dump it in, head for the line change. Vikingstad after it in the corner for Norway. He gets tied up on the play, and it's back to the Norway line. Knold quickly for the captain, Sven Norsjebo. On the right side for Vikingstad. He takes a bump on the play from Isbister. Isbister uses the long reach, pokes it loose, gets it back from Stewart. Isbister on the right side, had a man open, that was Walls, and it was cleared away by Fredrickson. Tries it one more time. Far side for Pekka. Pekka has it chopped off his stick at the line for Stewart. Down for Isbister. Isbister takes a bump in the corner, finds Mike Pekka. He'll find Walls. On the backhand, spins to the forehand. Tries to find some room, watched by Vikingstad. To the right point. It is Stewart sending it in. Behind the goal, and penalty coming up on the play. It is going to be a holding call. It is scoreless. Canada and Norway are watching Molson World Championship Hockey on the Score.
Reasoner with a 3-point night, including 2 goals. The Blues win 4-2 to draw first blood. Mike Modano injured his ankle. He may be out for the next few games.
Canadian power play. Shot from the line was stopped in front and cleared down the ice by Pal Jonsson. Derek Morris for Le Cavalier. Cross-ice back pass picked off by Hansen, then knocked off Hansen's stick. Canadians unable to get into that Norway zone and get set up. They had a couple of early shots. Le Cavalier unable to get a stick on it, and down the ice it goes. Brathwaite clears it up quickly for Stewart to Le Cavalier, stopped at the line by Norsjebo. Off his stick now, 2-on-1 down low. Smith to Sullivan, stopped in front, scramble, score! Vincent Le Cavalier, a bit of a mix-up in front of the Norway goal. Before Josefsson could get his glove on it to freeze it, Vincent Le Cavalier scores the first goal for Canada of the 2001 World Championship.
Well, this is Ryan Smith's eighth point in 7 games, including the series against Dallas. He's the guy that fires the puck across in front. You see Le Cavalier coming late, driving to the net, makes a huge difference, and that's what caused the Canadian goal. Sullivan started it. Look at Smith with his head up. The puck doesn't get through, and on the left-hand side of your screen, big Vincent Le Cavalier makes the difference and gives Canada 1-0 lead.
We are experiencing some video problems. We do apologize for those. They hopefully will get rectified quickly. In behind the goal, the Canadians looking for more. Sullivan steals. Sullivan into the slot. The pass was in behind Wade Redden. Redden chops it down deep, looking for Ryan Smith. It is Mats Trigg getting bumped off the puck. Thornton tried to find a man open, couldn't. Out to center ice it comes. On the right side for Marius Trigg, dumps it in around the boards. Brathwaite leaves it for Wade Redden. Redden up the middle for Sullivan. Sullivan to the line. Could not get deep into the Norway zone. Out to center ice. Vesterheim was stopped, and it's right back into the Norwegian end. Sorley out to center ice for Vesterheim for Hansen. Hansen's cross-ice pass failed to materialize, and back into the Norway zone it goes. On the backhand, dumped into the neutral zone by Johnny Nielsen, and Jason Smith is there for Canada. Smith tries to get it for Walker. Walker gets bumped right in front of the Norway bench. In behind the net for Chris Draper. Draper tried to get it to Rem Murray. Now to Walker and back for Murray. Walker runs a little interference, gets away with it. Shot from the left side goes off the stick over top the net. On the far side, Svensberget gets bumped into the corner boards. Mike Pekka comes out on a big hit by Pekka, as Pekka caught boards sorely with his head down. Back into the Norwegian zone. Pekka's after it again. Pekka wearing the C for Canada. Marius Trigg for Norway. To the line, Trigg tried to snap it in on Brathwaite, fanned on it. Derek Morris takes it behind his own goal for Pekka. Quickly on the right wing for Wes Walz. Walz to center ice, his pass was picked off, and it's dumped back in by Norstebo. Pekka battles for it. Trigg jumps in from the line, and it's taken by Wes Walz. Out to center ice for Derek Morris, cross ice for Isbister. Isbister to the net, has a man in front off a skate, and Josefsson has to grab it and hang on. From Hanover, Germany, this is Molson World Championship Hockey on the Score. Vincent Lecavalier has Canada in front 1-0. An unassisted goal. There's a loose puck in front of the net. Backhand, oh, what a save by Josefsson as he got the pad down, as Friesen had the opportunity in front with Walker and Marlowe. And Josefsson there to shut the door.
Well, I hope we get a replay of this. Friesen with a real tricky little play. Watch him do it behind the back pass as he picks up this rebound, and it was just off the mark by a tad. Otherwise, there it is there. What a beauty. Not only the shot, but also the rebound. I tell you, we're not controlling some of these cameras, but the replays so far have been tremendous. Walker almost made it 2-0 off a nice play from Friesen.
Far side boards, kept in by Brad Richards. Pile up. Half the Norwegian team is over there in the corner. And after the loose puck is Knoll. Starting the attack is Pelle Jonsson, sends it on the right side for Bård Sorley. Sorley dumps it just inside the line, but it's right back to the Norwegian line. Fanning on the pass, across the line for Richards, scores! Brad Richards intercepts an errant pass, walks in and beats Josefsson, and the two Tampa Bay Lightning forwards, Lecavalier and Richards, have scored to give Canada a 2-0 lead.
Well, Lecavalier is the guy that starts this play off as we get a good look at the deke here. What a beauty. The right shoulder went down, and as soon as Josefsson went the other way, Richards went the opposite. Lecavalier made a heck of a nice play, back checking, that turned this puck over, even though there was a miscue by Norway and Richards was there to pick it up. Two unassisted goals now. Lecavalier, in my mind, has assisted on both of them.
Sullivan chases it into the Norway zone. Sullivan takes a bit of a chop in the corner, as getting the lumber on him was Stig Vesterheim. Redden intercepts at center. Redden for Sullivan. Sullivan for Ryan Smith. Smith pokes it in, back for Sullivan. They whistle it down on the offside, and Ryan Smith has the feet taken out from under him by Mats Hansen.
Well, a couple of little plays at the blue line there. It's easy to do that against Norway, but you've got to be careful not to be doing it against the better teams.
You're watching Molson World Championship Hockey on the Score. Canada 2, Norway no score. Dennis Bayak and Jim Koplinski in Hanover, Germany for the 2001 World Championship. Wade Redden in his own zone. Penalty coming up on the play as Thornton gets caught, and now Thornton goes down to one knee, and Joe Thornton is going to the penalty box. It is going to be an interference penalty, and Norway will get its third opportunity with the man advantage.
Well, as we get a look at Thornton's penalty, he puts a stick on the Norwegian right here, pulls him down slightly. Wold goes to the ice. Thornton at 6'4", 215 pounds, is twice the size of some of the Norwegians. In fact, Norway's only got 3 players taller than 6'3". Canada's got 8. When it comes to size, Norway's got 4 under 80 kilograms. Canada's got only 1.
Mats Trigg heads to the Norwegian bench as he was nailed into the backboards by Michael Pekka. In his own zone, Jason Smith chops it up on the right side, unable to clear it though. Loose puck for Kyle McLaren. For Wes Walz on the left side, and off the glass and to the Norwegian line. Circling back, Vikingstad across the line, puts the brakes on. Vikingstad on the backhand gets it deep. 2-0 Canada, 1:12 in the power play. Vikingstad gets it back. Looking down low at Marius Trigg, elects to come back to the line to Nielsen, back to Vikingstad, cross-ice pass off the stick of Knold. Knold sends it around the boards for Vikingstad. Quickly on him was McLaren. He'll leave it. Trigg back for Vikingstad. Back to Trigg. Vikingstad gets the pass. Loose puck in front of the net. Off the back post. Marius Trigg was open. Did not get his stick down in time to try and tuck that past Brathwaite. Steele at the line for Team Canada. Cross the line. Draper in front for Walls on the backhand, and Josefsson comes across and gets the glove up and makes another big save for Norway.
Well, Wes Walls was talking to himself on the way to the bench there. A beautiful play and a great deke. Josefsson just with the leg to stop what looked like a sure goal.
Val Janssen, he's tied up. Loose puck cleared to the line, kept in, shot by Norstebel. Brathwaite kicks that one away. Power play continues, but it's cleared to center ice. Rem Murray almost had a break, couldn't get a stick on it. Out of the penalty box is Joe Thornton, takes the pass. Cross ice for Sullivan. Into the slot to Murray, back to Sullivan for Thornton. Fights his way to the net and chipped it by on the short side. Norstebel dishes it off. Sullivan had his man lined up, but jumping out of the way was Pal Johnson.
Would you ever notice the speed of the Canadian team? I got to tell you as well, watching Joe Thornton, I didn't realize he was that fast. I don't know whether it's that Norway is a little bit slower than Thornton's regular competition, as we got to look at this move by Walls. Look, he waited and waited, and Josefsson came around. Draper with a real nice play on that 2-on-1. Canada has been just within a hair of a number of perfect goals with nice execution. Just at the end, there's been a slight miscue. Otherwise, this game could be 6-0.
Josefsson hangs on. They'll do the face-off honors all over again. Josefsson has made some big stops. You joined us late. He was shaken up a little bit in the warm-up. Took one right off the mask.
Well, that can happen, you know.
Yes.
Sometimes they get away on even experts.
Brewer lets the shot go. Save made Josefsson. Ryan Smith looking for a loose puck. And Ryan Smith takes a little shot to the chops from Hansen.
And we talked about Joe Thornton and the way he's come on. Take a look at the difference between the 97-98 season and scoring 71 points this year. 37 goals, 34 assists. Not missing very many games. You look at the size and the strength of this guy, you can be rest assured that he's gunning for a great performance here, in part to get an entry into the Olympics in 2002 in Salt Lake.
Morton Ask, lead pass, picked up cleanly at center ice. Cross the line for Dahl. That's as far as he gets. And it's right out for Ryan Smith again. Smith will drop it back for Eric Brewer. Tried to get it back to Ryan Smith. Selgren intercepts. Leads the rush on the left side. Long shot. Brathwaite, easy save. Stewart has his stick lifted. Loose puck into the slot area. Brathwaite may have got a piece of that as a quick shot from the high slot. Near side boards, the battle continues. We are in the final minute of the opening period. Around the boards for Ryan Smith. Slowly to his own line. Dumps it cross ice. At center ice and in for Marleau. Cleared away by Norstebel. And it's all the way back into the Canadian zone. McLaren up the middle. Marleau deflects to the left side for Friesen. Across the line, Jeff Friesen. In on Soley, back to the line it comes. There's a shot by Morris. That doesn't get through. Dropped off by Fjeld. Hit in behind the net. Friesen takes his man to the backboards. That was Nilsson. Dying seconds of the opening period, 2-0 Canada on goals by LeCavalier and Richards. Nilsson behind his own goal. For Sorley. Sorley up on the right side, takes a quick look at the clock. First period runs out. And a good start for Canada. 2-0 goals by LeCavalier and Richards. Let's go back and rejoin Steve Coulisse.
Thank you very much, Dennis. I am in our Toronto studios with our hockey analyst, Gord Stellick, and you mentioned the 2 goals in the period. one by Vincent Lecavalier, the other by Brad Richards, teammates with Tampa Bay and teammates 3 years ago with Rimouski in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. It's time now for our play of the period. And our play of the period is Canada's second goal, as a great steal right here as that fanning, clearing attempt is picked off by Richards. He goes right in and scores what should be one of many in the tournament. That made it 1-0.
Play of the period is brought to you by AMJ Campbell, proud to be the official mover of Canada's Olympic teams.
So Canada off to a very good start, leading by a score of 2-0, and Jim Pablinski said it in the broadcast. You know what? If it wasn't for some great saves in that first period by Josefsson, it could be a 5 or 6-0 game.
It's hard to believe that Canada lost to Norway last year at the World Championships. I think a real encouraging first period. A number of things. First, the only chances Norway had were on the 5-on-3 when they had the two-man advantage. You saw Sampolera, Brad Richards, the goal, the sniper. You didn't see Vincent Lecavalier making the nice play there. The skilled players, they're playing with speed. What I really like is they're driving the net. They're driving the net. Team Canada setting an attitude. They're not going to sit back, play tentative like maybe they did in the Olympics. So it's only been 20 minutes, but you have to be very encouraged with their first 20 minutes of hockey.
And although he only had to make 2 or 3 tough saves, and 2 of those came on the 5-on-3, Fred Brathwaite, who lost to Norway last year, he's happy to get out of the period not allowing a goal and get his confidence back at the World Championship level.
Yeah, key is you got to have a hot goaltender, whoever you are. And in Team Canada's case, they're going to get Brathwaite the start. Roberto Luongo's there. I don't know if they're going to use the two-man system or not in the preliminary round, but you need a hot goaltender. Sometimes it's tough when you're not tested a lot. Freddie Brathwaite wasn't, but he came up with the 1 or 2 saves when he needed to.
Vincent Lecavalier and Brad Richards, the goal scorers in the first period. Canada off to a very good start, leading by a score of 2-0 in Germany. Canada based out of Hanover. Games also played in Cologne and Nuremberg. Canada looking good after 20 minutes. Welcome back to the Molson World Hockey Championship live here on The Score. Canada opening the scoring in the first period on the power play at the 11:35 mark. Vincent Lecavalier making it 1-0, and get used to that. Unassisted at the World Championship level. They give out assists there. It's a lot more difficult to get an assist there as it is in the NHL. Brad Richards, it was an unassisted goal. He got a clearing attempt, picked it off, and went in and scored his first of the tournament. So Canada up by a score of 2-0. And as far as the first period is concerned, Gord, we expected Canada, and you mentioned it right off the top of the broadcast, a fast team, a team that really likes to use its speed, and we saw a lot of the speed in the early going.
Well, I really did. You're lucky you guys don't have scoring bonuses, I guess, in the World Championships, because they're going to get ripped off assists. But that was the key, is this is a young team, this is a team with speed, but if you don't use it, if you don't use those attributes, then it's a wash. And that's the attitude they want to set. That's the attitude Wayne Gretzky wants to set for next year's Olympic team. And so far, the youth and speed are really showing on the positive side.
Well, another big aspect of hockey in North America anyway, on the smaller rinks, 200 by 85, is the physical game. Michael Pekka says, I don't care if the rink is 200 by 100, I'm going to use my physical game, and he did in the first period.
Well, he did, and as we mentioned earlier, it's unfortunate for Pekka. He only played 1 game in the Spangler Cup, and then he was hurt. Matter of fact, went off late in the first period. We'll find out more from Dennis and Jim later on what's going on. But Mike Pekka came out. You didn't see him early, but later on, what he does best is Mike Pekka, the physical going, finishing the hits, making the plays that way, doing the little things. He'll give you some offense, but also he's going to create the attitude about making sure those guys, like Scott Stevens does in the NHL, having their head up. And that's going to really come into play more and more when they play some of the better teams.
Vincent Lecavalier was the first overall pick back in 1997, and Art Williams, the owner of the Tampa Bay Lightning at the time, said that he's going to be the next Michael Jordan of hockey. Well, his second year in the NHL was a very good one, but this year, his third year, he struggled just a little bit. In fact, he was banged up for much of the year, played in just 68 games, finished with 23 goals, but a stat that you don't see on the board right there, he was minus 26 on a very bad Tampa Bay team. But many people believe that Vincent Lecavalier, who is a restricted free agent right now, will be a huge star in the NHL. He can do it all. He's got size, strength, and Gord, he's got speed.
Well, he does, and he had a better year than Michael Jordan as well this year, so that's one thing you could say. But Vincent Lecavalier, #1 overall picks, always had a lot of speed, and again, what they're trying to do here in the World Championships, I'm sure the Tampa Bay Lightning team wants to do more back in the National Hockey League. He's a guy that wants to make a bit of an imprint here, wants to play with the Olympic team, and he's a guy, as we say, defensively plays well, but you see the speed, first of all, the whole team coming back. That was Thornton. Then whipping the other way, you see Steve Sullivan coming back. And Steve Sullivan's a guy who made it in the World Championships as well. That was a near scoring chance by Ryan Smith. And in this case, you've got Wes Waltz coming in, driving that. This is what I'm talking about. Look at Wes Waltz there, driving the net, right in the crease. That's what you want to do. The speed and being right in the goaltender's face. Started in game number 1 against Norway, so you're doing it against Russia. You're doing it in the medal round. And we're seeing that not just with Vincent Lecavalier, but a lot of guys, the speed, and they're going to be right in the crease area.
Yes, it is a very young team, and you mentioned Wes Walz there, 31 years of age, the oldest player on Team Canada 2001. Well, there are 6 games in all today at the World Hockey Championship. You know the score, Canada leading 2-0 after 1, but in some other action, Germany, the host country, with a goal by Marco Sturm, tying with Switzerland right now. They're in the second period of play. 1-1 is the score right there. And the other game that is also going on right now, Belarus surprising the Czech Republic. Remember, they are the 2-time defending champions at this event. After 20 minutes of play there, Belarus leading by a score of 1-0. All right, we're going to take a break here on the score, but lots more to come in our intermission, and then we'll get back to the second period of action between Canada and Norway. You're watching the Molson World Hockey Championship from Hanover, live on the score. Welcome back to the Molson World Hockey Championship live right here on the score from Hanover. Canada leading Norway by a score of 2-0. In that first period, Canada was 1 for 2 on the power play, and you heard Dennis mention it in the first period. Canada last year operating at 21%, and they are 3 for 3 as far as killing penalties off. We've got 9 games to talk about the referees in this tournament and all the power play situation. We'll talk about that later. I want to ask you about experience. 5 guys on this team were here last year for Canada, or at this tournament in St. Petersburg, Russia. 9 guys have World Championship experience. Is that important in your mind?
It's huge. And you talk to guys like Steve Sullivan, he mentions that's what made him a better player, got him the big contract with the Chicago Blackhawks. So a lot of guys following Steve Sullivan's lead. Got a guy like Wes Walz, though. He played in the juniors in 1990, hasn't played for 11 years, so there's been a gap there. And you got a guy like Jeff Friesen. This is his 6th experience. You throw in the World Juniors along with the World Championships. You forget the World Juniors give these guys a taste, the international ice surface, the whole way it goes. That is a huge, huge factor in a short tournament like this, because if you have too many guys that don't know the way it's going on, it's kind of like Team Canada when it got to the playoffs in the Olympics. All of a sudden you look up and you're out of it.
All right, for their thoughts on the first period of play, let's go back to Hanover and check in with Jim Poplinski and Dennis Bayak. Gentlemen?
Jim, a good start for Canada. We've seen Team Norway have problems with the Canadian size. Vincent Lecavalier has been a horse out there.
Well, when I look at the difference in size, it's only of advantage if you use it. Lecavalier, I noticed right at the start of the game, not only strong in front of Norway's net, but back checking, putting the stick on guys, really making a difference using that 6'4" frame of his. And all of a sudden, Canada's up 2-0. Even though both goals were unassisted, Lecavalier was absolutely phenomenal in the first two.
They don't give out a lot of assists here. Speaking of 6'4" guys, how about Joe Thornton?
Well, he was the same way. I look at both of those guys, and those substantially different players, and Martin, I thought was exactly the same. Back checking, putting lumber on guys, really making a difference in the defensive part of the game. And as a result, Nicholas Zamboni doesn't have to spend any time in Norway's end. It was all down, doesn't have to spend time in Canada's end. It was all down in front of the Norwegian goalie.
Lightning strikes for Canada. 2 members of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Richards and Lecavalier. Canada leading by a score of 2-0. Guys?
Very much, guys. We'll get back to you in just a second. Time for a break, and then they'll drop the puck for period number 2. Canada leading by a score of 2-0.
Here in Hanover. Next year will be the home of the Hanover Scorpions hockey team. Dennis Bayak and Jim Poplinski as the 2001 World Championships are underway. 2-0 Canada. McLaren sends it in on the left side for Brad Isbister. Isbister gets tied up by Norstebo. Isbister gets the puck loose for Pekka. Pekka sends it to the front of the net. It comes off a skate, deflects to center, and Kyle McLaren has to hustle back. Throws it cross ice for Morris, and then Morris sends it right back for Kyle McLaren. He'll in turn give it right back to Morris.
You can say that again.
Pekka on the right side for Walz, in for Isbister. Penalty coming up on the play as Isbister gets dragged down as he uses his size to fight his way to the net.
Well, Norway is just going to try and keep this close. Canada with great jump to start this game, using speed, quickness, and strength, and all of a sudden drawing a number of penalties. Wes Walz dumps one across, a bit of a bounce on it, and Isbister couldn't pick it up. Norway had a great chance, a couple of great chances in the first period with all their power plays, but with this 2-0 lead now, I think you'll see Canada really pull ahead, and this power play should be a third.
One-timer from the left side off the stick of Marlowe, goes wide. Stewart at the right point. Holds it in, and now it's cleared into the center ice area. Knocked away there by Pal Jonsson. Vikingstad was in the penalty box in the first period when Canada opened the scoring on Lecavalier's power play marker. Vikingstad did attend St. Louis Blues camp last year. Listed at 6'4", 200 pounds. Not sure he's quite that big, but certainly a shot in front of the net. Certainly one of the bigger players on that Norwegian squad. Pressure by the Canadian squad in behind the goal. It is Friesen battling for the loose puck with Sorley. Around the board, Stewart hustles over and holds it in. Barely, but he does. In for Lecavalier. For Friesen. Back to Lecavalier. Canada on a power play. Lecavalier works it to the top of the circle and now dishes for Stewart. Back to Lecavalier, keeping an eye on him as Fjeld. To the point it comes to Redden. Screen shots. Josefsson the save. Bjorg Josefsson. Another good stop. Face off in the Norway zone.
Well, lots of Quebec juniors have done an incredible job in the National Hockey League, and the Cavalier finds himself in some pretty impressive company here. Alexander Daig played in Europe last year trying to restart his career, but the rest of those players with Le Cavalier, impressive Quebec major junior careers, and equally impressive, if not more so, in the National Hockey League.
Cavalier just turned 21, 3 years in the National Hockey League. Power play, Ryan Smith and Josefsson, I think, got the left leg down and makes the save. Brewer walks in and just misses the far post with a low shot.
What a player that Ryan Smith is. He's all around the net. I just love the way this guy plays. He's just dying to come to the rink, and you see that exuberance every time he's on the ice.
Smith has the puck. Working it with Joe Thornton. Sullivan ready for the one-timer. To the line to Morris and back for Ryan Smith. Down low, misses Thornton with it. Off the backboards, Thornton controls. Thornton wearing the A on the jersey. In front to Sullivan, it doesn't get to the net. Penalty has expired. Vikingstad is back out. In front, low shot by Brewer, and Josefsson, another big stop with the left leg. Derek Morris sends it for Thornton, for Sullivan. Sullivan led the Hawks in scoring, back to Thornton. The shot goes off the leg. Brewer decided to backtrack instead of pinching in. Derek Morris takes the puck in the neutral zone. Vikingstad is in on him. Lead pass for Walker, just offside at the line. It is 2-0 Canada from Hanover, Germany. This is Molson World Championship Hockey on the Score. Askett center. In for Vold on the left side, fighting his way to the net and getting a low shot away was Nygaard, but he missed the net with it.
Well, that was almost the 8th shot that the Norwegians have. 7 in the first period, 5 of them on a 5-on-3. So Brathwaite has not had a bunch of work.
Walker tries to get it to the front of the net, can't on the first try. Loose puck for Morton Dahl. He's stripped of the puck at center ice and taking it as Richards.
Just take a look at the Canadians back checking. I don't know how often now in this hockey game we've seen the Norwegians caught from behind, and even though Canada is a better team, it just emphasizes how hard they're working to be coming back and doing those small parts of the defensive game that have resulted in an overwhelming performance so far.
Dahl for Vikingstad. Vikingstad watched by Jason Smith. Applies the brakes. Smith takes Vikingstad to the corner boards. Battle for the loose puck continues. Richards is in there as well around the boards. Draper going after it. Gets past the defenseman. Break on the right side for Walker. He'll dive and slide it deep. Boards sorely in the corner. Gets taken out of the play by Walker. And a quick pass up the middle is off the stick of Norstebo. And it's Robidov. For McLaren. Rink-wide pass for Mike Pekka. Pekka, sharp angle shot. Try to go up high, short side. And it's deflected up into the stands. But a good opportunity for the captain, Pekka. But Josefsson has been very solid for Norway.
What a nice little play by Wes Walsh to put Pekka in as we get a look at Norway crossing the blue line. Canada backed up a little bit. Ryan Smith not standing up as much as he would like. That was the shot we talked about that Freddie Brathwaite didn't have to stop but had a perfect angle on.
Brathwaite has not had a lot of action in this game. The shot 17-7 Canada in the opening period. Scrambled at the side of the net. Finally grabbed off and taken in behind the net for Fjeld. Morton Fjeld will leave it. Leading the rush is Norstebo. To center ice, but no further. Wade Redden snaps it up looking for Pekka. Off his stick. Back in behind the goal. Grabbed off by Knold. Knold reverses up the boards. After it is Pekka. Into the center ice area and cleared into the Canadian zone by Martinson. Robidoux with Fjeld after him. Passes intercepted by Mortensen to Hansen. Hansen's one-timer goes over top the net. Isbister's after it at center. Isbister with some room. He gets taken to the boards by Ketel Wold. Isbister after it again, gets wrapped up on the play by Selgren. Gets it behind the net for Marleau. De Friesen back for Marleau. They play some give and go. Again, some interference by Friesen that goes uncalled. In the corner, Marleau. After his man, it's cleared to center ice. 2-0 in favor of Canada. Hansen. Cross the line, gets taken out by Big Brewer. Quick pass to center ice off the stick of Marleau, or he may have had a break.
What a pass by Jason Smith. Didn't even look or knew where Marleau was, and as Marleau turned, he put it right on the tape.
Sorley to centers. Big hit. Brewer steps into his man. Loose puck is grabbed off at center ice by Knold. He gets knocked down on the play by Sullivan. Round the boards for Brewer. Brewer being watched by Vesterheim. Pass up the middle is picked off. Back in across the line for Ask. His shot is blocked, and Jason Smith flips it back into the Norway zone. Board Sorley gives it away. Sullivan in front. Score! What a setup!
Well, take a look.
Joe Thornton makes it 3-0.
And the guy that made this play is 94, Ryan Smith. He's on this like a dog on a bone. Just drives to the corner. When he threw the puck out, I have to admit, I thought, why is he throwing it to the slot blind? The puck comes out right here, and look who's coming into your picture. What a great play by Ryan Smith. Thornton comes back to the net. This is the check that Smith fights off. Beats two guys. Norway finds themselves all of a sudden completely out of position. A beautiful pass by Sullivan. And Thornton gets a goal that he didn't have to do a whole bunch for. On that one anyways, but he was in front of the net. What a great play by Smith.
Ryan Smith had 6 assists at the World Championships last year, which is quite a feat. Because as we mentioned earlier, they really do not give out many assists. Very seldom will you get a goal with 2 assists on it. LeCavalier, who opened the scoring in this game with some speed through the neutral zone, gets hooked from behind. Loose puck by McLaren. McLaren leaves to LeCavalier. Snaps it wide off a stick. Draper tries to send it behind the net, picked off by Knold, and around the boards to center ice for Derek Morse. Back into his own zone for Kyle McLaren. 3-0 in favor of Canada. Germany and Switzerland tied 1-1 in their game, and Belarus leading defending champion Czech Republic 1-0 after one period in their game. Nuremberg, Cologne, and here in Hanover, the cities for this year's championship. Fjeld in the Canadian zone behind the net for Janssen. Janssen has Martinson out front, elected to go to the point, but it's picked off at Walls. Starts the attack back. Everybody was covered, so Walls circles back, tries to throw it up the middle, looking for Pekka. That failed to materialize. Redden sends it in, and it is Selgren behind the net, tied up by Pekka. Leaves it for Walls. Walls in the corner. Pal Janssen is in on him and pins him to the wall. Janssen comes up with it, sends it into the high slot. And it's grabbed off and controlled by the Norwegians. Cleared to the line no further. Pekka up quickly looking for Isbister off the stick of Stewart. That failed to materialize. 3-0 Canada from Hanover, Germany. This is Molson World Championship Hockey on the Score. Face-off will be in the Norway zone. This Team Canada squad coached by Wayne Fleming. As we look at young Josefsson, who has been a busy goaltender in the early going. Wayne Fleming, Brent Peterson, Guy Carbonneau, and Mike Polino. Coaching staff. Stewart to the side of the net. Stewart elects to go around in the wraparound. Grits it into the blue paint. Unable to get a good clean shot away though. 3-0 in favor of Canada. Marleau to the left point for Stewart. Stewart flips it in, and it goes off a stick and makes its way into the stands here at the Persauk Arena. You've been working on that one. Persauk
Arena. Persauk Arena. I'm working on all my enunciations for pronunciations. How about that?
Yes. Well, the Czech Republic has now come back to make it a 2-1 game. They are the defending champions. Prohaska with one of their goals. Kachanik with the other. Skabelka with the goal for Belarus. And 1-1 in the other game.
I had a Skabelka last night for dinner here.
Morton Ass tries to clear it, can't, behind the net. Good tight turn by Thornton, and the net. And we are going to get a penalty on the play.
Well, that might actually not be a bad strategy for Josefsson. Canada's been in his end virtually the entire game, and this might be the only way that he keeps this game at 3-0.
Now Bjorn Josefsson had to be careful so that net did not land on him. Their backup goaltender, or the other goaltender for Team Norway, Jonas Norgren, he might be able to stand up even if the net is knocked over. That's how short he is.
So he'd be under 4'6" then.
He's not very tall.
Ryan Smith continuing to make his feet move every time he's got the puck, and as a result, somebody's either hauling him down or he's finding open ice.
Norstebo gets the penalty for interference. Power play for Canada. Out front it comes. Shot, score! Jeff Friesen. Look cross ice. The pass was blocked. It came right back to him. Second power play goal of the game for Canada, 4-0.
Well, Canada continuing to drive to the net. A great second effort by Friesen here. Obviously not a patent play as we get a look at his stick. But Friesen tries to make the pass in front, and as it comes back out, he stays with it and collects a rebound to score his own goal unassisted. There it is. Stays with the puck. Not easy to do when you got two players on you. But that's the difference. When you're a top player in the National Hockey League, you make those simple plays, or those difficult plays rather, look simple. A great job by Friesen. It's 4-0.
Sven Norstebo, the captain of the Norway team, not that happy taking that penalty. Friesen catches a bit of a break and makes the most of it. Brewer for Rem Murray. Edmonton Oilers well represented here. We talked before about Ryan Smith. You have to give Ryan Smith credit, because he could have very easily not attended this tournament. He is cut above the eye, has a cut in his ear. But yet, when he received the phone call from Lanny McDonald, he was on the next plane here along with Jason Smith, another Oiler who took some stitches both above the lip and below in the series against Dallas.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Bayak. You've been busy. You've been busy looking at everybody's cuts and wounds, I see.
Yes. Dr. Reed in Edmonton did a great job sewing those guys up in a hurry. At center for Rem Murray, across the line. Murray around the goal, has Richards going to the front of the net. Murray to Richards behind for LeCavalier. LeCavalier tied up. LeCavalier and Richards open the scoring in this game. Thornton and Friesen have scored here in the second period, and Canada off to a good start in front, 4-0. Quick pass. Brewer got back, and not a lot of opportunity. Now Brathwaite comes out. He's going to be doing some stick handling, and then finally pounces on the loose puck, and Jason Smith looks down at Brathwaite and has a little smile on his face.
Well, the Norwegian hockey team has got a makeup from basically 4 different components: the Swedish Elite League, and then the top 3 teams out of the elite division in Norway. Valoregen and Storhamar have won 9 of the last 10, as you can see. Frikaster beat Storhamar this year in an upset, and Valorega then took Frikaster out for the championship in the Norwegian Elite League.
One guy missing from this Norway team from last year is Tron Magnuson. He is injured. He may play later in the tournament. He led the team in scoring last year with 9 points. There's Jason Smith.
Well, he's cooling down a little bit. I saw him having a good laugh with Freddie Brathwaite after Freddie went for a skate with the puck a few minutes ago.
Spacey, the mascot, entertaining the crowd. 4-0 in favor of Canada. Chris Draper in the corner, gets jammed up along with Board Sorley. Sorley logs a lot of ice time. Another quick shot, this one off the stick of Walls, and again Josefsson coming up with a good save. Josefsson with real quick feet has kept this from being a real blowout. Derek Morris will start the attack for Canada. For Wes Walls, finds some room. Picks his way to the line no further. Knocked off his stick by Stig Vesterheim. Vesterheim is after the loose puck, ties his man up, 2-on-1 down low, and a good defensive play to break that up.
Derek Morris used the entire length of his body and his stick there to make quite a difference on that 2-on-1. Just caught it before it came across. Otherwise, Brathwaite would have been called upon.
4-0 Canada. You're watching Molson World Championship Hockey on The Score. Ryan Smith chases the loose puck down, has Thornton in front, redirection by Thornton, and Josefsson gets the pads together. And down the ice it goes for another icing call, and Norway at times now just looking to relieve the pressure by icing the puck as often as possible.
Ryan Smith and Thornton seem to really be gelling quickly here. They just know where each other are. It's interesting how you can get two excellent players at times and it just doesn't work. Well, we got two excellent players here on the Canadian squad where it's clicking right away, and it's already resulted in a couple of goals, and that was a near miss.
Brad Stewart to the side of the net. Josefsson stops that. Trigg takes it on the near side. Sends it back into his own zone. Out to center ice by Sorley and in by Vestergaard. Stopped at the line. Stewart for Isbister and right back into the Norway zone. Walker is after it. Sends it behind the net for Pekka. He gets tied up. Pinching in from the line is Jason Smith. Gets it to the side of the net for Pekka. Michael Pekka, the captain of Team Canada. For Walker. For Isbister as they cycle it down low. To the line to Jason Smith. His shot goes off the leg as it went off the shin pads of Anders Fredriksson. Sorley tied up in the corner. Along with Isbister. Isbister gets the elbow to the back of Board Sorley's helmet. Big pile up. Puck finally does come loose. Isbister swings it wide of the far post. Pinching in from the line, Jason Smith. Isbister showing his strength once again. Michael Pekka tries to dig the puck free. And finally we are going to get a stoppage in play as Tor Dixtingstand gets his man tied up in behind the goal.
But Canada doing a great job on the outside through the entire game. They've worked really well on the boards, and a big part of that has been the Edmonton Oiler connection. Ryan Smith, very, very strong in that category. Eric Brewer keeping in his end of the rink when he's had to be there, which hasn't been very often. Same thing with Jason Smith, and Rem Murray strong on the boards as well. The Oiler connection just a huge plus for the Canadian team coming off of that loss in Dallas to end that series. They're fresh and they're looking for wins, and they're not injured.
How much of an advantage would that be for players like that have just come off a series versus the players who really have not been in competition since the end of the regular NHL schedule?
I think it's a huge lift. Not only are these guys looking for wins, I mean, I don't say that lightly. You talk to Ryan or you talk to Rem, and tremendously disappointed that they got beat in the first round, so they got something to prove there, and this allows them to finish that. They're not injured. They're game ready. The only thing they have to deal with is a time change.
Fourth World Championship for Jeff Friesen, and he'll center the pass. Marlowe couldn't get a stick on it, and it's back for Norway. At the line and sending it a big hit again as getting up was Morten Fjeld.
Well, let's hope we get a replay of that. I'll tell you, Fjeld Fjeld's lucky. Kyle McLaren came across here right out of the right side of your screen. And with Friesen keeping Fjeld on one side and McLaren going on the other, this guy's lucky that he's not changed from 180 centimeters into about 150. These Norwegians are not very big. I've said it a few times. They only have one player over 100 kilos. The Canadians have got a half a dozen at 215, 220, in around there. The Norwegians have a number of guys under 170 centimeters. The Canadians with only one. I mean, Freddie Brathwaite could eat apples off of most of these guys' heads.
Brad Richards after a loose puck, couldn't get a stick on it. Svensberger on the left wing, shot, that's over top the net as Mads Hansen lets a quick wrist shot go. Got something on that one.
I'll tell you what's really dangerous there. You saw Levin Hansen coming to the middle, the Norwegian. That is something you don't want to do in Canada. Be very, very aware coming off the boards. You get hurt badly.
Ryan Smith to the net, couldn't get a clean shot. Brad Richards knocks the loose puck down to LeCavalier. LeCavalier tied up by Hansen, to the line, kept in by Stewart for Richards. He gets tied up with the referee Corman. Controlled in front for Richards, shot, juggled, grabbed, it's loose. As Richards had another opportunity.
This is textbook hockey. I know Norway's not providing a whole bunch of competition, but my gosh, Canada is just on the outside, being strong, going to the net. You could make yourself a video out of this to teach young players how to play the game properly.
Sullivan in front, Ryan Smith is there where he usually is. Smith was tied up on the play by Kettle Wold. The puck never did get to the front of the net, but good work by Sullivan. For Ryan Smith as he'll go behind, jams it, save, rebound. Redden pinches in from the line. Behind the goal for Thornton. Ryan Smith heading to the net. Sullivan, sharp angle. Puck was on its edge and he fired it wide of the short side. Thornton jams it into the crease, gets it back off a skate. For Ryan Smith. Hansen can't control him. Smith to Sullivan. Sullivan jams it. Josefsson save and the rebound cleared. And Nygaard will send it out to center ice for Dahl. Watched by Sullivan, taken down by Sullivan. And Steve Sullivan is going to get a hooking penalty. You're watching Molson World Championship Hockey on The Score. Kyle McLaren sails this one down the ice as the power play for Norway starts. Wes Walls hustles after it. 7 shorthanded goals this season for Walls. Trigg circles at center ice. That is Marius Trigg. Spins it on the right side and in for Vikingstad. Jason Smith tries to get it up the wall, up the line, kept in. Boyd Norstebel for Vikingstad. Vikingstad had the winning goal in the upset last year. To the front of the net, cleared away by Brathwaite. Good save by Brathwaite, his best of the game, as Freddie Brathwaite gets the left pad down.
Well, the only time Fred has had work to do is when Norway has had a power play. That's going to be very difficult for a goaltender to watch and watch and watch, and then have to make point-blank saves like that. Mentally tough, staying in the game. Freddie did just that, stood up, picked out the left pad for a real beauty of a save.
Power play continues. Walker just does get a piece of Trigg. Round the boards, Nielsen gets it to the front of the net, and sliding across to knock it down was Brewer. Down the ice after it is Walker. He gets stopped on the play. Power play continues for another 25 seconds. 4-0 Canada. To the line, but no further for Fjeld. Offside is called and we get a stoppage in play.
Well, I watched Brewer come across. That play was about 30 feet in front of us. Brewer came across as Fjeld went over the blue line, and he just, Fjeld that is, ducked. He thought he was going to get crushed. Here's a great save by Brewer. He slides, doesn't know where the puck is, gets up, finds it, and then runs up ice. Canada doing a good job to protect Brathwaite, but Brathwaite equally to the task on a couple of real solid scoring opportunities by the Norwegians.
Selgren in behind his own goal, dying seconds of Norway's power play. This is their 3rd power play opportunity of the hockey game. Canada 2 for 4 with the man advantage so far. Out of the penalty box, Sullivan thought he had the pass, but back was bored sorely and not even looking where the puck was coming had it hit him on the skate. 2-on-1 possible opportunity, but Derek Morris hustles back, knocks his man down.
You know, there's another example. We've talked about this a half a dozen times now. How often can Canada catch guys from behind? It's not that the Norwegians are that slow. It's just extra effort by the guys in red, just playing a heck of a defensive game.
Nice back pass by Nygaard. Morton Dahl looking for a change, sends it in, heads to the bench. We're in the final minute of the second period.
Well, you got to love this, how fast these games go. We were talking about it yesterday, Dennis, that they want to see these games over in 2 hours or less. That 10-second rule contributes to it. They drop the puck very, very quickly, and as a result, you get some real tempo in the hockey game.
One-timer from the slot by Marleau goes off the arm of Josefsson, back to the left point. Draper, who is backing up his defenseman, lets the shot go.
that one went over the right field fence. I haven't seen too many go that high before.
There's some cars.
There's a shot here.
Corners of this rink that
right off of the ankle.
Good block.
Yeah, it was a beauty.
Now Brendan Shanahan. Unfortunately for Shanahan, the block shot did some damage. Faceoff will be to the right of Josefsson, who has definitely been the busier of the two goaltenders. And Josefsson has made some big, big saves. Kyle McLaren. Dying seconds of the period. Around the boards for Jason Smith. He'll just send it behind the goal for Draper. Draper tied up by Kettle Wold. Battle for possession continues. Marleau after the puck. Marleau tries to spin off the checking of Martin Sellgren. To the front for Friesen, and off a stick, and unable to get his stick on it was Draper. Behind the net, time will run out in the second period. 40 minutes gone by. It is 4-0 in favor of Canada. 2 goals in the first, 2 more in the second. Go back and rejoin Steve Kouleas and Gord Stellick.
Thanks very much, guys. Welcome back to our Toronto studios. I'm Steve Kouleas with the Scores hockey analyst Gord Stellick, as we talk about period at number 2, and a period, Gord, in which Canada skated and hit and really did everything right, including the little things.
Well, they did. Actually, more of the same from period number 1. We did see a couple of icings this period. I was really impressed in the first period. There were no icings whatsoever, as Canada didn't dump the puck in. They played with the puck. Bjorg Josefsson starting to get to know the Norwegian goaltender a bit. He's kept him in the game. Freddie Brathwaite saw a little bit of action the other way, but really a solid 40 minutes. And you know what? You don't want to really run up the score. You'd rather play this type of style rather than guys going crazy saying, we got the game, let's pad my stats. And Team Canada's continued that team concept.
Canada made it a 3-0 hockey game at the 6:46 mark, and that is our play of the period. This is a pretty goal that you ever will see. Great work in the corner by Ryan Smith to get out in front of Steve Sullivan. He could have shot, but instead he feeds Joe Thornton, who puts it into the net. That's our play of the period. Canada led 3-0. They scored again to make it a 4-0 game.
Play of the period is brought to you by the Aruba Tourism Authority. Visit them at www.aruba.com.
We talked about Fred Brathwaite right off the top and talked about the way he started last year against Norway in St. Petersburg, Russia, and lost the first game 4-3 and never played again. He had a couple of personal demons to battle in this hockey game, but so far, although he's been tested really a few times in the first period, more so in the second period, he has played very well.
Well, yes, I think Roberto Luongo will probably see some action in the preliminary round, but Freddie Brathwaite, it's tough being inactive, and he'd been inactive the first part. You saw a sequence where he tried to carry the puck, then lay out, almost messed it up that way. He and Jason Smith kind of exchanged some chuckles about it, but then after, he had to make a couple of decent saves. Eric Brewer made a decent save to preserve what so far has been the shutout after 40 minutes of play. But that's important for a confidence builder for a guy, as you say, Steve, that had a difficult appearance last year in the World Championships.
Freddie Brathwaite played very well for the Flames this year. He won 15 games, had 5 shutouts, and a goals against average of 2.32. A save percentage in the high 900s at .910, so he had a great year for the Flames, but didn't play other than the first week of April. So really, he's had a long layoff, 20 days, but you wouldn't know it the way he's played so far. All right, we'll continue to get your thoughts, Gord, on the second period of play, but first we're going to take a break and talk about the first 40 minutes in this one, and so far, so good for Canada. They lead by a score of 4-0 after 40 minutes of play. You're watching the Molson World Hockey Championship on The Score. Welcome back to the Molson World Hockey Championship, live on The Score. The second period summary now, and Canada made it a 3-0 hockey game as Joe Thornton scored from Steve Sullivan and Ryan Smith. Smith had 6 helpers last year at the tournament. As Dennis mentioned in the second period, you don't get too many assists in international hockey, especially at this event, so it's huge for him to help set up that goal. And Jeff Friesen scored his first of the tournament from Patrick Marleau, former teammates there. Of course, Friesen now a member of the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. That made it a 4-0 score, and Canada shots on goal all over Norway so far in the hockey game. Canada with 31 so far, scoring on 4 of those shots. All right, we talked about the play of the period and talked about the great goal Canada scored to make it a 3-0 hockey game. But this is a play that really started at the other end, and it shows, Gord, that Canada's doing everything right, including the little things.
Well, if you're Team Canada, the coaching staff, it's everything you could want to have in a hockey team and more. And you look at this play, it's got a little bit of hitting, it's got some block shots. Here you go, first start off, Eric Brewer, nice one. There he is on the blue line. Great series he had with the Oilers. You're going to see Steve Sullivan come back with another hit in the corner. So you got the defense and the forwards. Now that coughs up the puck. Now here's going to be back to the point. Could be a decent chance, and this is where they ice it down here. Here it comes back a bit. Now watch Jason Smith. Block shot. There we go. Now flipping it down, second attempt to ice it. It is icing, except the guy named Ryan Smith, he simply wants this puck. The quick pass, unselfish play by Steve Sullivan. There you go to Joe Thornton. Bingo, bango, bongo. It's in the net. And that was the play that you look at the last part of it. It was just a spectacular goal the way he scored it. But you see the way it was set up, some unselfish play, some hits, a block shot, a failed clearing attempt, then a good clearing attempt, and some great hustle by Ryan Smith.
Jeff Friesen scored the 4th goal for Canada back in 1999 when he played in this tournament. He played in 7 games and scored twice. In fact, this is his 4th World Hockey Championship. He has a lot of experience, especially in the NHL. He's a member of the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. He is 24 years of age, Gord, and has already played 7 full seasons in the NHL. That's unbelievable, and that is the difference between playing major junior hockey and going right into the NHL as opposed to playing college hockey. He has played very well for Canada so far in 40 minutes, and he'll have to be one of the big players if Canada wants to pick up a medal.
I'll tell you look at, and we talk about Vincent Lecavalier, that's why he's only 21, played 3 years. Jeff Friesen's been around forever. I thought the first period he got too fancy on one play when they had a scoring opportunity, but the second period you saw the good play, the fact his willingness to kick the puck, keep moving the puck, and this is going to lead to a goal eventually. Here you see set up again, great puck handling, and that's when he tucks it in there. He's a guy strong on the boards, great playmaking skills, and in that case it came up with the goal. What I liked there was he shot it. The first period he had a good chance. He tried to do the fancy behind the back pass. This time he's a strong player. Get out there, and if you got the chance, stuff it in. That's exactly what Jeff Friesen did.
Off the top in the pre-game show, and for all of Canada's games, we will have a pre- and a post-game show as well to talk about what happened in the hockey game and to preview the upcoming games as well. When you look at the roster and the 23 players that are here right now, who are right on the top of your list as far as players that really could play for Wayne Gretzky and company in Salt Lake City?
Well, I tell you, look at the power play they're setting out. I mean, you start with Joe Thornton, Steve Sullivan. There's an interesting guy. Now, I don't have Steve Sullivan on my list, but you throw Joe Thornton out there, you throw some other guys out there like Vincent Lecavalier, another guy out there that you're looking, Jeff Friesen. Those are the types of guys that are looking to play up front, join the forward ranks. As I said, the interesting thing to me is the defense. A real interesting guy to me is Wade Redden, who you viewed as a guy that should be a cinch to make Team Canada, but because of the indifferent play of the Ottawa Senators in the playoffs, you wonder how that's going to affect it. So he's got to step up and show a strong performance at international hockey. There's about 4 defensemen, like we said, guys like Brad Stewart, are other guys that are on the cusp of making Team Canada. So I think you could see, Steve, about 10 guys who could go from this particular lineup to Team Canada. Throw Mike Peck into the mix as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned Wade Redden. He really struggled in the series against Toronto, didn't pick up a point, didn't have a lot of shots on goal, and was -3 in that 4-game sweep. All right, we got to take a break here on our second intermission report. Canada up by a score of 4-0. You're watching the World Hockey Championship live in the score. Time now to check in with some of the other scores at day number 1 at the World Hockey Championship. Germany, good news for the host country, leading Switzerland by a score of 3-1. That is now into the 3rd period of play, and also in the 3rd, it was 1-0 Belarus, but the Czech Republic bouncing back big time, including a goal by Martin Raczynski. The Montreal Canadiens, they lead 3-1, about to start period number 3. All right, for their thoughts on period number 2, let's go back to Hanover and rejoin Jim Poplinski and Dennis Bayak.
During the period about a lot of the Canadian forwards, but one guy that certainly has been a standout is Ryan Smith.
Well, and I'm not saying this just because I flew in with him on Thursday, but I watched that guy, and he just makes the back of the hair on the back of my neck stand up, but not a lot on the head. Dumps the puck in. He's beating 2 Norwegians to the puck, 30 feet behind them, ends up in front of them, not worried about getting hit. He's like that hound dog that's got his tongue hanging out, just going all the time. And what a difference it makes with the rest of his team. He and Thornton really seem to have clicked well already. Whenever he gets on the ice, something's happening. You got to love watching him.
And guys, he's coming off a real tough series against Dallas. As we all know, he's got a cut above the eye, he's got a cut in the ear, but here he is playing and playing well.
Thank you very much, guys. And Gord, I want to get your thoughts on Ryan Smith in just a second, but first we got to pay some more bills. We got to pay that big 7-figure salary of yours. We're going to take a break and then come back and get Gord's thoughts and have the third period from Hanover, Canada, leading Norway by a score of 4-0. The red and white looking very good so far. Welcome back to the Molson World Hockey Championship here on The Score. Canada up by a score of 4-0. Third period action coming your way in just a bit. And before we went to break, I wanted to talk about Ryan Smith and the way he has played and the player that he is, Gord. Just phenomenal.
I look at the Alberta connection, two guys, Jerome McGinley and Ryan Smith, to be key guys in next year's Olympic team. What Jim Pablinski mentioned, flying over, the guy's been cut from his playoff action. He is showing commitment. He could have very easily taken a pass on this after the beating he's taken. He wants to be here, and he's bringing his A game.
All right, back to the third period we go in Hanover, Germany. Here is Dennis Bayak and Jim Pablinski. Canada up by a score of 4-0.
Third period, Canada and Norway as the 2001 championship gets underway. Canada takes on Italy on Monday and Russia on Wednesday.
And the crowd just cheering as it's announced that Germany has beat Switzerland 3-1 in this preliminary round.
They played in Cologne, and they were expecting over 18,000 people at that game, which is the biggest crowd to watch a World Championship game in a number of years.
Well, I can tell you it would be an animal act. The Norwegians came in, and there's about 200 of them across from us. Each one of them were completely searched as they came into the building. I'm not sure that they were bringing in Molson product, but they had a little bit of extra enthusiasm packed in themselves.
Wayne Fleming has to be happy with what he has seen from his team so far today. Fred Brathwaite has not been overly busy, but has been there when called upon.
He sure has, and he had lots of work with Calgary this year, so a little bit of a break is, I'm sure, welcome for Freddie. He's I'm equally sure not crazy about having some of those point blankers that he's had on power plays, but flawless so far.
And a good season for Brathwaite. 5 shutouts on the year. He had a 6-game unbeaten streak in January when he went 4-0-2.
Well, he's done a heck of a job. You know, he got signed as a free agent by Calgary. He was the 7th goalie they'd used. I believe it was 1999. He's just a tremendous guy, real regular kind of guy, not quite as unique, I'll say, as a lot of goaltenders, and as a result, gets along well with every member of his team, and guys do that little bit extra to help him out as well.
Signed January 7th and recorded a shutout the next night against the Dallas Stars. Hansen loses in front to Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith, the shot blocker saved by Josefsson. Hansen after it again. Player changes now for Canada. Out of his own zone is Selgren. Up the middle. Vesterheim gets rubbed out at the line. Sorley at center back. Vesterheim will give chase. Wade Redden slips it cross ice for Brad Stewart on the right side. The pass off the boards, too far for Sullivan. Sullivan heads back to the bench for a new stick. Hansen sends it back in on his own goaltender, and Josefsson makes the save, and Ryan Smith comes in and gives him a little bit of a snow shower.
Well, that's more having fun than anything else. Born in Edmonton is Derek Morris, and Morris is a huge addition to a team like this. He moves the puck so well. He's a strong body checker, tremendous on the power play, great penalty killer. You get a look at some of those highlights throughout this year, and he started this World Championships off with a number of those as well.
Derek Morris, a former Regina Pat, and the Pats will be hosting the Memorial Cup next month. Coach Lauren Mulliken getting his team ready.
And you'd know lots about Memorial Cups, yes, having been, what were you, the chairman of 2 different Memorial Cups, Dennis?
89 in Saskatoon and 92 in Seattle. It's a tremendous event. It's a great week.
And a lot of great players come out of the Western Hockey League for sure. And the travel and that the Western Hockey League endures, if I ever have a choice and there's two guys that are equal, Denny, I go to the Western Hockey League. So I hope that makes you feel good being a Westerner.
You bet. In the corner, West Walls is after the loose puck. Gets taken out by Morton Ask. Sorley to the line. And finally, with the assistance of Ask, they will get it down. Icing will be the call against Norway. Face-off will come back 4-0. LeCavalier and Richards in the opening period. Thornton and Friesen in the second period.
Now Canada with a 4-0, very comfortable lead. They've got to use this game now as a tune-up to more difficult competition. So that means 5-on-5. They're looking to get their lines comfortable, get a feel for guys that you're playing with, get a feel for your D. If you do have a power play or a penalty killing opportunity, it isn't so much to run the score as it is to get strategy down, get system down, just get comfortable with everybody else in the team, and particularly those special team situations, which will become very, very important when you go to more difficult competition.
McLaren for Friesen offside. You're watching Molson World Championship Hockey on The Score. Kyle McLaren sends it around the boards. Josefsson out to try and stop it and missed it. Marlowe with the loose puck. Marius Trigg stopped at center ice. Marlowe back for Morris. They'll set it up to center ice for Draper. Quick pass into the center ice area for Friesen off his stick. In his own end, it is Sellgren sending it all the way down. Icing will be the call against Norway. And the face-off will come back.
One of the other small differences in the international game is the no-touch icing. Whistle blowing right away takes it a couple 100 feet down to the other end. You get a look at the benches here. Typically in European hockey, the benches are pushed right back against Pat Clayton and the Canadian coaching staff. The Germans moved the benches off of the wall so that the Canadian team could have their conventional setup. Lots of room on the benches as well for skaters and trainers and coaches and equipment managers and just about everybody except broadcasters, Dennis.
And we're not that far from the bench.
Well, that's right, too. Heck, with your arm, you could almost throw it to 20 feet or so to the Canadian bench.
2-on-1 possibility. Now following up is LeCavalier. And Josefsson may have got a piece of that. It may have gone off the crossbar.
He got a piece of nothing on that.
And then
that
off
hit
the
crossbar.
mesh.
What a shot here. Look at him reload on this. Just a strong, strong wrist shot. Josefsson started to move when it was up in the mesh. Another look here. LeCavalier is coming late. Gosh, I love the way this guy plays. Look at how he stretches that back leg out. Great weight transfer on the shot. Puts all 200+ pounds behind it, and it went up into the mesh we've mentioned a couple of times here at the end of this rink.
Backhand shot from a sharp angle by Martin Sellgren, saved by Brathwaite. We are in the third period, and it has been a good start for Canada. 2 in the first, 2 in the second. Sullivan after the loose puck. Sullivan knocks it away from Norstabo. The captain of this Norwegian squad up on the right side. Sellgren gets bumped on the play by Redden. Stewart has the puck from Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. Backhands it to the Norwegian line, no further. Sullivan now steals. Sullivan with some room on the right side, in with Thornton. Sullivan to the slot, to the backhand. Tried to come to the near post, but it was deflected away. On the left side with some speed, but play whistled down in behind the play as Knold had some room. Sloshing is the call as Thornton goes to the penalty box, and this will be the 4th power play opportunity for Norway.
Well, Knold actually interfered with him, Dennis. You couldn't see that where they were standing, but after Thornton put the lumber to Knold, they both went to the sin bin. 2 for interference to the Norwegian and 2 to Paul Bunyan for the lumberjacking on Knold's ankle. Knold's ankle, right?
So there will not be a power play situation.
A good chance once again. Talked a little bit earlier about testing different things. Canada with their first 4-on-4 chance of this tournament. You get used to the bigger ice. If you get in too close, out too far, it opens up a lot of room and cause problems.
Pekka to Ryan Smith. Pekka gets dumped at the side of the net. Ryan Smith has lost his helmet. Josefsson has lost his helmet. And the Norway goaltender is still down on his knees. And now getting up very slowly.
He got squished a little bit. He's not too happy. Ryan Smith, after playfully throwing some snow in Josefsson's face a couple of whistles ago, I think made a little bit of extra contact there, and Josefsson, who's had approaching 40 shots, is I'm sure getting a little bit weary.
Shots on goal in the second period, 14-4 Canada, so 31-11 Canada coming into the final 20 minutes of this game.
You saw Smith go through to the right of Josefsson there and just caught him on top of the mask. That's what shook him up a tad.
Thornton and Hansen in the penalty box, so we have 4-on-4 action. Derek Morris for Jeff Friesen. Jeff Friesen takes his man down with a little tug. That was Sven Norstabo. In behind the goal, Friesen now takes a run at Norstabo. The puck comes loose, grabbed off by Vikingstad, and he'll lead the rush. Trying to make it a 2-on-1 is Knold. Vikingstad to the front of the net, and it goes wide of the short side. Play whistle down, the net is off the peg, and we will get a stoppage in play. And 6 minutes and 18 seconds gone by.
You see Marlowe coming in to back check on 17 from Norway, Knold. Well, he came from about 40 feet behind him. It was a 2-on-1 from almost the Norwegian blue line. Once again, we're seeing Canada really compete in the parts of the game that you don't notice, but that make a big difference in the score.
4-on-4 for another 50 seconds. Le Cavalier, who opened the scoring in this game at the 11:35 mark of period one with a power play goal, fakes, walks in, cross ice pass. He had Richards, his Tampa Bay teammate, off the back post. It was tipped away. Jason Smith lets it go. That goes off the shin pads of Kettle-Wold. Good pressure by Richards, Le Cavalier, Smith, and Brewer. Two members of Tampa Bay, two members of Edmonton. Le Cavalier dipsies his way into the zone, drops for Jason Smith. Smith is tied up on the far side by Pal Jonsson. Fjeld is there as well. Le Cavalier digs it loose to Brewer. To Jason Smith, one-timer. Josefsson gloves it. And Josefsson will hang on with the Norway team running around in its own zone. From Hanover, Germany, this is Molson World Championship Hockey on the Score.
League final, Toronto hosting Philadelphia. The Wings win 9-8 to win the championship.
Sullivan in the corner, dishes it off. Rem Murray back for Sullivan. All over Sullivan is Sorley, and it comes loose for Mads Hansen. He'll lead a 3-on-2. On the back check is Murray. Shot does not get through.
Well, there's not much there to do. I mean, Norway is coming down 1-on-1, and they just don't have a chance of beating a Canadian defenseman that way. So the odd dump in maybe, but boy, not much getting through, literally past Canada's blue line.
Morton asked to Morton Dahl. Ask got knocked down in behind the play. I'm not going to say what he got knocked down onto. And Brathwaite will glove the puck, and Brathwaite will hang on to it.
Well, I think he got knocked on his ask. That's 26, ask. Scott Walker, I think, was the guy that put 26 down. We'll see if anything comes out of that. No, we're not going to get it. We're just going to have to enjoy the memory.
Shot from the point blocked. Walls leaves for Pekka. To the line, Pekka gets his way around the defenseman. And then the puck ends up in the corner off the stick. Walker behind the net. Walker up front, had the goaltender Josefsson down. Tried to get it up top, couldn't. And now it starts with Morris and Dahl, and then Walker gets in there.
Well, I like to have a scrum just as much as anybody, but there's not much point in these. You're really not going to make any headway because it's unlikely you'll play Norway again, and all you do is get officials upset at you. So you're better when the play stops just to back up, and I know a stick in the guts that nobody sees is irritating, but get out of there and get the puck dropped. Here's Walker. He steps right out in front of the net. He's got Josefsson down with no stick, and he comes out, makes all of the right moves, puts it about 2 feet over the crossbar, and then goes into Derek Morris's assistance. Quick left jab coming up. Yep.
It started with Morris and Dahl, ended up between Walker and Knold. Scott Walker to the penalty box, and a pretty good year for Scott Walker.
Well, as I say, he started as a real tough guy with Vancouver, and he used the extra room that he got to improve his skills. When you can get an extra half a second here or there at this level, it makes a heck of a difference for you. And all of a sudden now, he gets 50 points. He got 25 goals this year. He's a team guy. He skates well. He's tough. He's an all-around very, very strong package, not only in the National Hockey League, but also right here at the World Championships for Canada.
First ever shorthanded goal and first ever empty net goal in Nashville history. Those records belong to Scott Walker. Looking for some room in his zone. Zone is Norstabo. This is a power play situation for Norway as Derek Morris gets the extra penalty. Here comes Mike Pekka on the short side, rattled it wide. It rims the boards all the way to center. Kyle McLaren sends it all the way back in, delayed offside. Pekka clears the zone, and that allows play to continue. Stealing it at the line is Rem Murray. He has Sullivan going to the front of the net, and the shot is on Josefsson, and he'll stop it on the short side. Vikingstad starts the rush on the right side for Fredriksson. He'll leave it at the line. Rem Murray is after it. There for it, though, is Marius Trigg. Power play for Norway. They are 0 for 3 with the man advantage in this game. To the line it comes. There comes the shot from Knold. That's deflected. Near side boards, and down the ice it goes.
Well, I'm going to be curious to see Canada play some stiffer competition here. I don't know whether it's Norway is not as good as we'd like them to be, but they sure are not giving Canada much of a test. In fact, many times it's literally like adults playing with children. LeCavalier and Thornton are just manhandling these guys. Ryan Smith is just busting through at will. Brewer, McLaren, huge difference in skill level, size, and strength.
Wold shot from the left point. Does not get through. Near side for Draper. Draper can clear at the line. There comes a shot. Brathwaite the save and hangs on to it. And good job in front of the net by Stefan Robidas as he blocks out Morten Fjeld, who was trying to get in front of Brathwaite and try and obstruct his view.
Well, you got to hand it to the Norwegians. The last little fracas, I mean, they certainly are not backing off. This is absolutely, though, more a case of skill level than it is willingness to compete.
Czechoslovakia beat Belarus 3-1. The Czech Republic, of course, the defending champions.
Now, that game was close for a while. Belarus coming out with a 1-0 lead. That's the way the poorer teams really hope to compete. That's what Norway hoped to do this afternoon, but it didn't happen, and as a result, it will be not a rout, but substantially in Canada's favor.
The other game was 3-1 as well. Reichert and Sturm exchanged goals. Sturm for Germany. That's Marco Sturm of the San Jose Sharks. That's the way it stayed until late. 17:21 of the third. Kritzer scored to make it a 2-1 score, and then Ludeman made it 3-1, and that's the way it ended. Huge crowd. That game was played in Cologne. We are in Hanover. This is where Canada will play all of its games in the qualifying and the preliminary round. Richards sends it around the boards, in behind the net, into Norway's end.
In the rounds, for people who might not follow it quite so closely, the preliminary round, 4 teams. And sorry, Dennis, go ahead.
No, Nygaard had some room around the outside, quickly got crossed off. Patrick Marleau to the line, no further. Loose puck for Martin Knold. Sends it to center. Tries to get it for Morten Ask. That fails to click. Cross ice pass getting knocked down at center ice was Friesen. And the loose puck is grabbed off by Nygaard. Nygaard's shot goes wide. And around the boards for Wes Walz. Tries to get it for Friesen. Picked off on the play by Dahl. Morton Dahl back in for Norway. Tries to fight his way around Brewer. Can't. And Brewer is going to get a penalty. Was it Brewer or was it in behind the play? I think it's in behind the play that they are making the call. It will be hooking.
Marlowe put a bit of lumber out, pulled the Norwegian back and down, and Canada gets another opportunity to practice their penalty killing. Once again, Dennis, just getting into how it's set up. The preliminary round is important, but not crucial if you lose a game or two. The top 3 teams out of the 4 in each of the divisions move forward for a qualifying round, and through that there's a crossover, and then to the semifinals and finals.
Canada 1-2 in the preliminary round last year, with wins over Slovakia, Japan, Finland, and Italy, as they went 3-0 in the qualifying. So the record after the first round was 4 wins and 2 losses. Again, those wins over Slovakia, Japan, Finland, and Italy. One of the losses was to this Norway squad.
Just when you mentioned Japan, I thought of Dave King. And the reason for that is he's getting inducted into the IIHF Hall of Fame today with another person that he crossed paths with regularly, Sergei Makarov. Dave King, coach of the Canadian national team for a number of years. Makarov played in Calgary and San Jose, and an unbelievable competitor for Red Army through 10+ years.
At the line, there comes the shot from Nielsen. That was wide. The near side battle continues in front of the Canadian bench, and the loose puck is taken and cleared back into the Norway zone. 48 seconds left in the power play as Sorley goes back for it. Ryan Smith watches him. Hansen will start the power play. On him quickly is Sullivan, but Hansen pulls away. On the right side for Vesterheim, he cannot get it into the Canada zone. Back comes Sullivan for Ryan Smith. The shot didn't get much on it. And Josefsson the save on the short side. 29 seconds left in the minor penalty to Patrick Marleau. This is the 5th power play opportunity of the game for Norway. Canada 2 for 4 on the power play. In fact, Jeff Friesen took just 16 seconds after Norstabo went off. The score for Canada, Josefsson will hang on to it one more time. And again, the face-off will be in Norway's end.
There's Leif Bork, the coach of the Norwegian team. He coached Sweden in the '84 Canada Cup. Canada beat Sweden 2 out of 3 in the finals there, I think, to win the gold. Lots of Swedes and Finns and other Scandinavians have gone through the Norwegian organization, and a couple of Canadians as well. George Kingston, who many Canadian hockey fans will know, spent a number of years in Norway assisting this program.
Steve Sullivan shorthanded to the net, saved by Josefsson. And he is injured again. He has been bowled over a couple of times, but some nice moves by Steve Sullivan, who led the NHL in shorthanded goals this season.
Well, Sullivan doing a great job in staying on the puck. He strips his opponent. Look at the way he just stays with it the whole time now. He goes over top of Josefsson. Really not much he can do there. Look at him staying on that puck.
And Josefsson just gets that pad down.
Hansen's got to watch the chest and not the man.
Steve Sullivan, a tremendous year for the Chicago Blackhawks this year. He led the Hawks in scoring.
Oh, and how about moving from the Toronto Maple Leafs, I think, over to the Blackhawks? The Leafs could use him right now, even though they are up 1-0 over Jersey. I know there's lots of fans in Canada that are rooting for those Leafs, including a number of people beside me. I saw a guy over here with a Sundin sweater on, and I thought it was Matt's, and then I realized that it probably wasn't.
Steve Sullivan, a New Jersey draft in 1994 from Sault Ste. Marie. Following year, won a Calder Cup with Albany.
And can he skate? And once again, when you talk to the Canadian contingent, they built this team on speed and flexibility. Guys, a lot of these guys can play different positions, and also just a love for the game. It's amazing when you talk to Lanny McDonald about the common characteristic. In fact, here's an interesting comment. Lanny had to call about 34 players in order to fill out this roster. Last year, lots of different reasons for this, but last year, in going to a broader distribution of players, Cliff Fletcher, the general manager of the Canadian team, called over 90. So just a huge difference. Now, there was a number of different things that added to that, not to mention the fact that the Olympics are coming up and there's more interest in international hockey right now. But the point is, Lanny went to younger guys that just loved the game, and there wasn't a whole bunch of consideration. When he called them, they said, I'm in.
14:45 to go here in the third period, and play has slowed considerably here in this final 20 minutes. A number of whistles. Josefsson has been shaken up a couple of times. 4-0 Canada. LeCavalier, Richards, Thornton, and Friesen, the goal-getters. Nielsen for Norway to center ice to Fredrickson. He'll slide it into the Canadian zone, and Derek Morris will take a cross-ice pass. Has trouble with a rolling puck for McLaren. Up the middle, nice knockdown by Draper, and following up on the play is LeCavalier. LeCavalier plays the body on Soley. Fredrickson with the loose puck. His cross-ice pass, LeCavalier almost picked it off. Marius Trigg could not get it into the Canadian zone. Also trying to get it in is Vikingstad. He couldn't get it deep either. And now the Canadian squad will dump it and head for a change. Knoll for Janssen on the right side for Fjeld. Sidesteps a check from Wade Redden. Martinson in behind the net, battles for it with Stewart. Rem Murray is there, chops it up for Patrick Marleau. Marleau, a back pass intended for Rem Murray, finally ends up on Murray's stick. He'll get it to Wade Redden, rolling puck, slapped it wide.
What a shot that was. That was a rolling puck, and he just, Redden, that is, just cupped it and got tremendous velocity on it.
And then Redden, the first one back to check Martinson as he tried to get some room in on the left side.
How often have we seen that? Guys are the first guys in, and they're also the first guys back. It just makes an incredible difference. You don't notice it until the game's over, and then you realize why you've won.
Icing call against Canada from Hanover, Germany. This is Molson World Championship Hockey on the Score. Walker to the front of the net, lets the shot go, saved by Josefsson, and he will smother it as Isbister in front of the net, acting as a screen. Walker did get the shot through.
Acting as a screen or providing a screen?
I guess providing.
Well, this is what Josefsson's seen all night. Big black pants and big red jerseys, and it's been a tough night for the Norwegian goalie Josefsson.
16:41 gone here in period 3. Ask out of his own zone, the long pass. Putting on the brakes is Nygaard, tried to get a shot through. He gets knocked down on the play. Of course, the long pass over 2 lines is legal in international hockey. Walker drops it back. Robidas the shot. That is blocked by Morten Dahl. Does not get the Josefsson. And the face-off will be in the Norway zone. Up later this week for Canada as we get a look at Stefan Robidas, a game against Italy and then a game against Russia. All that in the preliminary round, and then after that comes the qualifying round, followed by the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and then the championship games, and we'll have it all for you. Dennis Bayak and Jim Poplinski in Hanover. Thornton in his own, in the Norway zone for Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith runs into the referee to Sullivan. What a move by Sullivan, but Josefsson wasn't biting. And now Josefsson gets dumped again. Ryan Smith in front of the Norway net.
Yeah, Ryan Smith broke his stick. You know, those fiberglass, carbon, graphite, Teflon wood sticks are very, they're very easy to break. I don't know what he hit.
Sullivan in front of the net. What a save by Josefsson off of Derek Morris. Wow.
Derek Morris wheeled around to talk to Sullivan after that save and said, "Can you believe that? Watch this." Josefsson just happens to have his glove there. With all due respect to Josefsson, Morris had him down, and that one just hit the right spot.
See, you can tell you're not a former goaltender.
Well, that's and I'm proud of it. He does the full 360. I'm not quite sure why.
He didn't bite on Steve Sullivan either earlier. Sullivan tried to get him to go cross ice. Penalty coming up. Net comes off. And there's no doubt it was Sellgren who knocked the net off the pegs. But referee Corman did not make another call as Tor Vikingstad, the draft pick of the St. Louis Blues.
There's Sellgren knocking the net off. You're right on top of that there, Dennis. Sellgren's the only player on the Norwegian team that's over 100 kilos. So you do the math, Denny, the conversion's about 2.2 pounds to the kilo. That would put him at what? 220 pounds, my able-bodied friend. And just as a comparison, Canada has a half a dozen guys like that. So when you combine skill and strength and you're outclassed in both of those areas, no matter how hard you compete, it's an uphill battle. Canada at 4-0 here has really just overwhelmed the Norwegians.
I'm okay on miles and kilometers and Celsius and Fahrenheit. After that,
Okay, why is minus 40 Celsius the same as minus 40 Fahrenheit?
see, now you're way out of my league.
Well, Canada really enjoying this game, and not to belittle the Norwegians at all, but this is in many ways is the perfect setup. At the start of the game, you never consider it to be a practice, but as the game starts to go your way, you start to use it in that fashion, and Canada has done just that. They've continued to be on the puck, to be playing hard, but they're not getting overly fancy, and they're using this to get used to each other.
Richards to Marleau on the backhand shot, saved by Josefsson. Nice rush by Brad Richards, a nice feed to Patrick Marleau. What a year Richards had. On the feed there to Marleau, tried to go to the backhand.
Well, he can score. Marleau can and Richards can. I think Richards had 185 points with Rimouski. He feathered that one up to Marleau. Marleau is no slouch, jumped into the hole and made the difference as well. You see his age, his height, and his weight, 95 kilos. Well, that's 210 pounds, and once again, Norway just wishes they had more guys of that size and certainly of that skill.
Aneroid, Saskatchewan, the hometown of Patrick Marleau. Marleau has the puck. Sends it down to LeCavalier. LeCavalier puts the brakes on, sends it to the line. The one-timer from Morris, and Josefsson got the left pad out.
Hey, this Josefsson, he's making stops. I don't want to say I was making fun of him, but I suggested that he got lucky on Morris's save. He's standing in there.
For Friesen, this is the 5th power play of the game. Canada 2 for 4 with the man advantage. Friesen to Marleau to LeCavalier, back to Marleau to the back post looking for Richards. Tipped away, cleared to the line, kept in by Marleau. To Morris, to Richards, to LeCavalier. Doesn't get much on a rebound. Josefsson is there and hangs on to it. Trying to work it free was Richards, but Josefsson manages to smother it. We're in the final minute.
Here's a look here. The Cavalier does the spin around, just slides off the stick, but not to be outdone, he goes right back at the puck. It's really easy after you make that first shot to forget about it. It's a lot tougher to go back, get the rebound, and then take a crack here or a crack there. Look at the way he jumps right back on it, and he's trying to go up top. Josefsson, though, has got it covered. Canada all around, 4 guys deep. They're going for some goals. It doesn't hurt to feather your hat a little bit, get a good feel.
Pekka, the captain of Team Canada, back out along with Walker and Isbister. Stewart, near side, cleared in by Walker. Isbister rims the boards. Pekka waits for it. To the line to Wade Redden. One-timer blocked in front of the net by Knoll. Far side for Ask. He's stopped on the play. Walker dishes it back to Stewart. Just does hold it in. For Redden. Rolling puck. Snaps it right on rebound. Walker scores! Scott Walker fires the rebound up top.
Well, Canada had complete control on that power play. Norway really worn out. Walker coming from the side of the net. Redden with a nice shot. Every shot that Redden's taken tonight has found its way through to the net. They've been hard as well. There's one on it. Walker takes his time, just calmly comes in front. It's sometimes You want to jump in there and get close, but Walker uses good composure to wait, stay outside. He gets the rebound and makes this 5-0 with 15 seconds left in the hockey game.
Pops the water bottle on top of the Norway goal. Third power play goal as this one comes to an end. That was the third power play goal of this game for Canada as they go 3 for 5 on the power play.
That's a perfect script for Canada. They got off to a good start, even though they came under some power play pressure from the Norwegians. They got an early lead and then just built on it. Excellent tenacity, great forechecking, super when they were without the puck, strong defensively and offensively, just overwhelmed this Norwegian team to get some confidence, score some goals, and get a feel for each other, which is absolutely important at the start of this tournament.
Wade Redden, the player of the game for Canada. Or perhaps in a...
Russia so dominant through those 60s and 70s, and as Makarov got into his swing of things and into his prime, other teams got better after that 72 series. So we're off to start.
Fred Brathwaite coming off the shutout against Norway gets the start for Canada, and in goal is Maxim Sokolov, back-to-back shutouts in this championship, and is in goal for Russia for this game. Isbister in behind the Russian goal, tries to work it loose for Draper and does. Draper sends it around the boards in behind the net, a collision there as Petrachinin goes after it. Puck comes loose and it's grabbed off by Alexei Yashin. On the left side, Yashin sends it in, too far for Alexander Goltz. Eric Brewer in his own zone will keep an eye on some line matchups, as the Canadian contingent did talk about keeping an eye on who is out there for the Russians. Loose puck is controlled, sent in deep by Guspanov to Yashin. Yashin out front, Tverdovsky jumping in from the line, but it was intercepted.